Hello there, my name is Christian and thank you for taking the time out to come by and to listen to what it is we're talking about today, and that is stone tape theory. And might it have something more to do with light, the mind, and magnetic fields? So what is stone tape theory, you might ask? Well, I've had an opportunity to revisit this article in more recent months as it has been republished in Supernatural magazine. I've had a chance to obviously revisit my article and a few more bits into this, which I think could be quite interesting to come and talk about. So decided to re-record it and make it into a YouTube video for your viewing pleasure. So many paranormal investigators and researchers of anomalous phenomena put this down to a playback of events gone past, somehow recorded into the very fabric of the environment, and somehow played back something like a video. And this haunting occurrence is known as stone tape theory. Now, to illustrate this, to illustrate it indeed, would be a prime example would be in 1953, there was an apprentice plumber called Harry Martindale. Now, in the city of York, he was working that day, which is a place I was very, very recently. He was installing a heating system in the treasurer's house in the city. Now, stunned at the sight of a mounted horse inside this cellar, followed by many more soldiers carrying swords, shields, spears. Now, Harry was always been very keen in his appearances and his examinations when he's trying to account what it is that happened. He said the soldiers appeared to be walking on their knees, as if the floor was lower than it actually was. Now, not to his knowledge of the time, 1953, it turns out, in fact, 38 centimetres, 15 inches below the floor of the very cellar where he was working, was in fact a Roman road, and used for and leading to the Minster. Now, ghosts therefore were working and walking on the familiar road that was their level, unaware of the present day changes of 1953 and leading to that point. So the way I think about it, recording ghosts are associated with a number of other anomalous phenomena. Now, I put this in a category of those such as anniversary hauntings, phantom hitchhikers, phantom battle scenes in their nature, where at a particular location, allegedly the same day, or there is a pattern of occurrence, such as like the phase of the moon, or it's in X place. So witnesses claim the experience repeats, and investigators perhaps should be staking out these very places to either rule out them as myth, or to gain further proof of their occurrence. Now, Sir William Barrett, one of the initial founding members of the Society for Psychical Research, he describes hauntings of this nature as well. In certain cases of hauntings and apparitions, there is some kind of local imprint in the material structures or places that has somehow been left by before past events pertaining to certain persons who, when on the earth, were closely connected to this particular location. An echo, a phantom of these events is somehow perceivable to those who are now living. Such eloquence in his 1800s speak. So how does a recording occur? Well, looking at a number of the hauntings, and I certainly have, most ghosts appear to be going about their daily routine as if they were still alive, or at the very moment of their death. They're monks walking amby halls, for instance, soldiers marching to war, and to those replaying their deaths. So how would this emotion, how would this information be recorded into the environment that has potentially lasted centuries? Now, in the case of Bramar Castle, a place that I went to in 2006, it's located in Aberdeenshire, of course, in Scotland, where the story is of this castle, where the newlywed wife of the Earl there, after consummating their marriage, awoke in the morning to find the husband gone. Fearing that she had been rejected, the young wife then threw herself from the tower. And the story is that, of course, if any newlywed couple were to stay at the castle, it plays out as a repeat haunting, where her spirit then runs down this corridor and then literally jumps from a balcony. Terrifying, but of course this was a different age. The World's End in Acton, where a phantom nun is said to appear at Halloween at midnight on a road outside the village gallows used to stand, and she stops anyone attempting to pass. And there's reports of this going back to the 1700s. So I kept thinking, and I kept adding this, and also the speculation at roundtables, because I also like to engage fellow researchers and investigators to have roundtable discussions to try and find out what else is going on and listen to what other people have to say, their ideas and their thoughts. So the speculation at roundtables is that perhaps this might have something to do with what's called PE, which is peak experience emotion. Now, could this play a part in the residual echo that is seen to be being replayed? So there's an incredible emotional level, an intenseness of one's life, whole life passing before them in one moment, utter concentration and staying alive, perhaps, on reaching out to loved ones, reaching out to those who you had a great connection with in your life. And those who claim near-death experience, NDE, often speak of this too, and what's called the clarity of the moment, and moment are a sensation of Zen, a oneness with all. So, whilst it's very likely this is part of the mind self-defense program for keeping the brain safe, could this mind state perhaps be the catalyst for this, pressing record? So, but reports, of course, on this, although they appear to be genuine experiences, they are anecdotal at best, and it's only something of a theory that appears to fit, and the evidence of how it's being done, of course, is speculation at best. So under the next heading I wrote is, do certain situations or mind states have to be the same for the recording to play out? Now, this is something worth thinking about. So, driver on the same stretch of road, a newlywed couple at the aforementioned castle, therefore they have the same mind state if they just got married. So, or indeed standing at the same exact spot as a witness to a death. Is that when it plays out? So, therefore, is that the trigger? If this were to be the trigger, we would have a repeatable exercise, wouldn't we, in which to observe the case for the existence of ghosts and echoes of the past. And if that was the case, we'd already have it solved as a certainty. But one of the aspects I've spoken about in some of the presentations I've done is looking at the technological applications if we were to be able to unlock this medium of somehow recording. Now consider this, stone tape theory phenomena is actually that of a three-dimensional mass, a three-dimensional figure, not only of mass but in environmental space. There are frequent conversations with those who have claimed to experience and have been witness to these occurrences. Often you're going to hear, well, they're as clear and solid as you were. The ghosts were indistinguishable from that of a real person. Which means one thing, that we are talking about the ultimate form of hologram here. So especially when an interaction is found. So as highlighted, example, in Phantom Hitchhiker reports, where the ghost, the person, clicks open the door handle. The mass, when they sit in the car, sit down. Sometimes they even speak, only to disappear a short way on. So they appear to have, if light is there, if they are a figure person, bear in mind the way that light works is light comes into our eyes, of course. So therefore, is it possible that light is hitting off these three-dimensional holograms and coming into our body? We have the ability to see them. They are physical. They're in physical space. That I find very fascinating indeed. So, what's going on? We don't even know how to press record, let alone hit play. So what is going on? Well, there's water theory, the water memory theory. Now, it holds some footings in certain science circles. The potential is the water has been observed and recorded to have the ability to hold information, although this, of course, is disputed by a number of other scientists as well. So the number of notable scientists and theorists who concluded separately their separate fields of expertise where water can be used as a medium of storage. And of course, we're on Earth, and most of our environment is water. It's water in the air, there's water in the ocean, water in the sea. There's water everywhere. So is that being somehow our recording medium? So what about light? And then light is a terrific carrier of information. Witness the prevalence of, say, fibre optics and telecommunications. Photons are hyperactive, zipping all over the place at light speed. Now, there's a book called Robot, where Hans Moravec speaks about low-energy photons and how they store information theorized to be around 1 megabyte on a single hydrogen atom. And indeed, 10 billion megabytes, on the structure the size of a virus. Our visual receptors, our eyes, take in light from everything we see, everything we look at, just taken in and processed by our mind, and it gives us the vivid images of environment that we see. So in the past decade, it has been discovered that the human eye not only, takes in light, but also emits light. That's right. Our bodies, our eyes, emit photons. They emit biophotons. So there's a two-way process of light being received and being emitted. Packages of information being scattered out and directed into the surrounding environment. Absolutely fascinating stuff. And if you look at the description below, I've left some notes there for you to go and follow this up for yourself too. Along with all the links and descriptions of everything we're talking about here. So is it therefore possible, just to throw it out there as an off-the-cuff thought. So, okay, let's just throw it there. When a person is having an experience of seeing or hearing an apparent ghost, might they be taking in a photon emitted by the other person, the person who's died? So with the information being carried on the photon, would this then account where there is only one person who sees the ghost, despite numerous people being present? That photon has only hit that person's eye. So the jury is out on whether photons degrade, of course, because they are travelling at the speed of light, and presently we can't keep up with this to observe this. So photons carrying and containing this information could speculatively last forever. And magnetic fields really interest me. And magnetic fields surround us in our daily lives. Anywhere and everywhere we go, we're surrounded by magnetic fields. We even generate our own resonance. Consciousness is a measurable frequency. The acknowledged field of the electromagnetic frequency field of the brain that traverses the caudal-rostral plane of the cerebellum is in fact it crosses the brain every 20 milliseconds, travelling at a speed of 4.5 meters per second, divided by the circumference of the human skull. And it gives us a value of between 7 and 7.5 hertz. And brain has a magnetic resonance of around 7 hertz, which is really, really curious, because it mirrors that of the Earth's ionosphere, which also has a resonance frequency of 7 hertz. Is there some correlation happening here? So neuroscientist and professor at Princeton University, Michael Persinger, in his lecture that is freely available to watch on YouTube under the title of No More Secrets, he discusses scientific observations and how data in the field of communications between individuals at a distance, and also demonstrating how EM fields of the brains show interesting parallels of symmetry between brainwave patterns and activity and patterns that mirror one another. And is it at this time that apparently information transfer occurs? This also happens at the gateway of memory, the hippocampus, because it's at this point 7 hertz range in the hippocampus, which is the gateway to memory. And this is how it's theorized to occur. It's down to entanglement, with the information conducted into the magnetic field. Now let's just put this back into the people who experience anomalous phenomena. So could it be that person A, is standing in and about the same area? Perhaps the trigger being a similar mind state. So as we were talking about earlier, if you're a newlywed couple going into the aforementioned castle, if you're a hitchhiker travelling on a certain road, if you are in the same position or the same place, or have the same mindset, when you pass through that location, is that the trigger? Is that somehow entanglement jumping through time? Or just physically there, what somehow is passing the information for that precise moment to A. So the field gives person A, me, it's not an outside apparition, but it's actually a projection into the mind. So to elaborate, if an apparition, however it is sensed, if it is real, now I'm going to draw upon a quote that of course is quoted many times. Here's of course in the film The Matrix, it's from Morpheus to Neo. This of course is the famous picture and the famous scene. He asks, what is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about your senses, how you feel, how you taste, smell, see, then all you're talking about is electrical signals interpreted by your brain. And our senses are the input of which our mind experiences what we're having, what's occurring. So, however, let's look at another similar, related topic. So, we're talking about birds now. Notably, birds use magnetic fields for navigation. They use it for orientation. And in the studies to understand this process of looking at magnetic receptors and gene expression markers, they identified several brain regions that are activated by magnetic stimulation. Neural responses in field direction, intensity, and polarity, with findings demonstrating that the birds have a natural magnetic sense. Now, comparing these notes also to human neurological studies, humans also have a similar sense of electromagnetic field input, which is why we are highly susceptible to EM radiation and EM fields. So, if we are exposed to the same frequency, or the same present EM field frequency was to occur in the mind, and we exist in the same space, could there theoretically be an exchange of information? So again, go to the same castle where this wedding occurred. Then of course she jumped out the window. or going down the same road, or going being a hitchhiker on the same road. If you have the same mental thought, the same things occur around you that happened at that time, and that's why you see it. Is that where the exchange of information happens? So the difficulty in this understanding is that people and creatures have indeed walked the earth for thousands and thousands of years. We now occupy more of it than ever before. So you'd think this experience is probably occurring far more often than is being reported. People should be witness to this kind of phenomenon quite frequently. Now, I don't see hundreds and hundreds of reports of phantom battle scenes appearing of people driving across the moors. I don't see the kind of people seeing Tudors and cavemen and Saxons and Danes, as they go about their shopping at Tesco. But, I don't know. Do you think there's something to this? What are your thoughts? Leave some information below. And, let's see if we can expand on the subject of what's been done so far. But could this be the mechanism behind stone tape theory? A field of information stored could be leaving the impression in the mind of the beholder. So light, magnetic fields, could they be what is behind this? Or is it just all in the mind? Or is it, of course, all just nonsense? I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you have to say. If you like what we've been talking here today, you can hit me up and subscribe. My name is Christian Lander. Feel free to give me a like and enjoy the discussion. And I shall see you in the internet, in the world of, very soon.